What do you think when people comment on like the YouTube video saying like, "Oh, Ali, we love you, Ali. Don't listen to the haters. Like they're just jealous. All this kind of stuff."
I think it's just people being nice and genuinely feeling that way. For example, I have watched videos of YouTubers that I like and YouTubers that I'm friends with where they talk about mean comments that they've got, and I feel like a feeling of feeling compelled to comment something just to be like, screw the haters, mate. And I think it's similar to. I feel it's like if someone, a YouTuber friend of mine posted a video a few months ago about how he's got cancer and talking about his struggles with that. And that was like an outpouring of love and support, being like, "Oh my God, this is so terrible. You're such a great guy. I hope you get through it. We're here for you." That kind of stuff. It's
Okay.
just like a generally nice thing to do. I don't think there's anything particularly, I don't know, nefarious about it. Or I'm not quite sure what you're getting at. I feel like this is just decent, like human decency. If someone is feeling bad about something, you try and reassure them that it's going to be okay. Like the equivalent of Sheldon
Interesting.
Cooper saying there and patting the shoulder.
Hmm. I'm not trying to say there's anything nefarious, to be clear. I didn't make any suggestion
No, of
like that.
course, I agree.
Uh, so if something bad happens to one of your friends,
Hmm.
like what's like your response? How do you react in those situations?
Recently, I would feel like, oh, I'm so sorry, that kind of thing. That sounds really hard. The usual, just being nice to someone and saying that you're there for them type thing. If you need anything, give me a shout, or you know, it obviously depends on the context, depends on what the bad thing is, and whether I can, whether this person is close enough to warrant something more active in terms of outreach. But generally, it's like I'm really sorry. It's like if someone has a death in the family, like it's just polite to be like, oh, I'm really sorry. You guys must be going through a tough time, etc., etc. I think that's kind of the equivalent of what's going on here. People are feeling, yeah, wanting to show support, which is kind of nice.
So when you read those comments, you feel kind of nice.
Yeah, yeah, it feels good to read those comments.
Wow.
I said
Okay.
it on
We've made some
Netflix. I said
progress.
that shit.
Where's that from? It's like
Kevin Hart's
Kevin
Netflix
Hart?
special.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I said it. Black woman? Okay, no.
Dude.
I was doing a bit there. I'm doing Kevin Hart. Was it Chris Rock? Kevin Hart? Who knows?
I think it's probably Chris. I mean, Chris Rock has lots of bits about black women more so than I think Kevin Hart does.
Okay. Apologies to Kevin.
Okay, that is interesting. Hmm. Okay, I think it's worth separating different things here. So I think there's certainly some things which are just like matters of etiquette. Like, if someone has a death in the family, even though you have nothing to really apologize for, it is polite to, say I'm sorry, or I'm sorry to hear that, that kind of stuff. I think there's matters of pure etiquette, which I think that comes under also like saying hello to someone when you see them. These are just sort of matters of pure etiquette. And then I think there's a bunch of stuff that falls outside of that where someone is kind of making the choice to say some stuff. And so, like a common thing, you know, if a friend is sort of, breaks up with their, romantic partner, then people will typically say, oh, there's, don't worry about it. You'll find someone else, plenty more fish in the sea, all of this kind of stuff. And I think that falls outside of the realm of just pure etiquette. And that's like an intentional thing that someone is saying. So I think I disagree with you when you characterize these YouTube comments as like pure etiquette in the same way that saying I'm sorry is etiquette when there's a death.
I'm not.
I don't
I
think
don't think.
that's that.
Yeah, I agree. It's not quite. It goes slightly beyond the etiquette. More of a like. there's no social etiquette here. Like, if I was saying it to someone in real life, it would be social etiquette. Would be like, "Oh, I'm really sorry. Don't listen to the haters." Like, that's just. Do you agree that that would be social etiquette rather than just "I'm really sorry"?
Sorry, okay, let's set up the situation a bit more precisely.
So I say to someone in real life that, "Hey, so I saw some mean comments about me on the internet, and it made me feel bad."
Okay.
It would be social etiquette for that person to be like, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Like, don't worry about it. You know, you've got all these good comments as well, and you make such a big impact on people. And obviously, there's going to be some haters. Like,
Okay, no, no, no. Okay, got it. I understand. I did. No,
I'm
I
I'm
think
saying
I'm
in real
sorry to hear
life,
that.
I'm saying in real life that's social etiquette. Saying, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that," would be considered rude if if not elaborated on in that context in a one-to-one situation.
Okay, I agree. It would be weird to just say I'm sorry to hear that
Mm.
and then move on to the weather or something. I agree that
Mm.
would be weird. But I think there is a spectrum of elaboration that can occur,
Okay.
and there are choices that people make as to what that looks like. I agree, if you say that to someone, I agree that they are basically obliged to say, "I'm sorry to hear that," or maybe how are you feeling? Basically that much. But then whatever route they decide to go down in terms of elaborating on it, I think comes down to choice, and that's really what I'm trying to get at here. So I think, so one possible route, right, to elaborate is to then go down this angle, which I think a lot of the YouTube comments did, and which you just did in your example as well, where you then try and, um, yeah, I guess try and negate the mean comments and say, oh, there's lots of, there's lots of good comments about you as well, and I think you're X, Y, and Z. That is one of many possible routes of elaboration. Um, are you personally inclined to go down that route when you're sort of talking to your own friends? Like if something bad happens to them, you will like try and convince them.
No.
Okay, got it. You know, okay, I think we're agreed that there is a basically obligatory response of like, I'm sorry to hear that, hope you're okay, whatever, which just is just social etiquette and you just have to do it. And then there's like there's a bunch of options you have of like how you want to carry on the conversation. One of those options is to try and sort of convince the other person that these mean comments in this instance are actually wrong, and like, oh, there's also really good comments, and the mean comments are wrong because you're actually a great person, all this kind of stuff. That's one route. And you said you typically don't go down that route yourself with friends.
Correct.
Why not?
I typically go down the route. I mean, it depends on the context. The first, the primary route of elaboration um, is very easy and very like non-socially threatening, and it's like a pretty normal slash normie thing to say. And so if I'm in an environment where, let's say there's like a group of 10 people who I don't know particularly well. At that point, I'm not going to put on my, I don't know, Freudian hat and start sort of psychoanalyzing the person. Whereas if it's a more one-to-one situation, if you were to tell me that, for example, hey, I've had some mean comments on the internet, I would be like, oh, that's interesting. How did you feel about that? Which was kind of what you asked last time. As opposed to, oh, don't worry about it, mate. It's all good. Like, you're a great guy and your laugh is infectious and people think you're very attractive and handsome and stuff. Um, I wouldn't go down that route.
But wait, wait,
I'd go
wait.
down I'd
You
go
think
down
it,
the how are you feeling route.
you think the how you feeling route would be weird if it's like people you don't know as well?
Uh, how are you feeling then? With which would then be followed up with the why do you think you're feeling that way, or just trying to get to the bottom of really exploring the feeling and
Mm.
exploring like the thought process behind the feeling. Generally, not a. I mean, it doesn't work in 100% of social situations.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, that's interesting.
That was me being precise with my language. It does not work in 100% of social situations. You're like, there we go.
Sounds more like hedging to me, mate, but that's fine. Okay, so you don't. Okay, let's just give it a name. Let's call it the reassurance route, where you tell the person, oh, there's lots of good things about you, blah blah blah.
Hmm.
You don't personally go down the reassurance route in general, but it felt nice to you when the YouTube comments were along the reassurance route?
It felt nice in a
Or,
way.
or do you okay, basically, right. Do you have to say it felt nice? Because it would be a dick move on this podcast for you to say, "Oh man, all these people came out and supported me," but actually, I don't give a rat's ass. Like, are you obliged to say it felt nice? You can say yes. It still
There,
leaves room. There's still like 50-50,
there is
right?
an element of obligation here.
Okay.
Like when, uh, if someone, basically how celebrities are obligated to be very thankful to their fans for the things that their fans do.
Right.
This is something that Darren Brown interestingly explores in his book Happy, where he talks about how what it feels like to be a celebrity and to be someone famous, and how you can't really say anything against it because, then you come across as a dick. And you have to
Yeah.
obviously, be acknowledge at every moment that your fans are the ones who got you there, and because you don't want to come across as a dick and you don't want them to not like you. And there's all this baggage associated with
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
this sort of stuff publicly.
Okay,
So there
right.
is an
So you
element
can't,
of that.
yeah, you can't talk about it publicly. So maybe I can throw my hat into the ring.
By all means, please do. And I will neither confirm nor deny the allegations.
If I were you,
Yeah.
and there will be comments about me on the internet, and we'd made that video or podcast, whatever you want to call it, and then in the comments, everyone was like, "Oh, Taimur, don't listen to the comments, don't listen to the haters. They're just jealous. You have all these nice qualities about you. I think you're great." Um, you know, if that was the response, not only would I not not only would I not feel nice about it, I would actually feel okay. Like I wouldn't feel positively towards the response, but I wouldn't even feel neutral towards the response. I'd feel slightly negative towards the response. I would actively
Why is
not
that?
want that to be the response.
Why is that?
Um, I think I personally, I think I'm from what I've seen from chatting to friends about this, I think I'm pretty weird in this regard, and I don't think you're quite as weird on this along this dimension. But I'm very sensitive to feeling sort of patronized or pitied or sort of condescended to. Like that is literally, I think we've talked about this on the podcast before. Like that is literally the worst thing imaginable to me. Like literally, the worst possible thing is for someone to pity me. And I think, yeah, I think I'm like so sensitive to that that yeah, I wouldn't want sort of anyone's pity really. Um, and I think that's also the reason why I never go down the reassurance route myself, because I don't I don't pity anyone, regardless of like the circumstance. I think it's like, and look, I think I'm being weird here by calling this pity. I
Yeah,
think there's
I
pro-
think
there
it's
I
weird.
think there is a, yeah, I think there is a meaningful difference between like, pity and like sympathy or something. There's different things going on which are related, but I'm like so sensitive to the pity thing that I just like completely steer clear from it. Um,
It's very
and
self-aware.
so, sorry,
Surprisingly self-aware coming from you.
don't need these compliments. Don't pity me. Yeah, so I just like completely steer clear from it.